Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Easy 11 Plus live lesson, and it's a big hello from me and a rather stinky Dimitri. Hello, did I say stinky? I mean sleepy. A rather sleepy Dimitri. No, a rather stinky Dimitri. Anyway, fantastic to have you all here. Don't forget to check out all the links in the video description down below. Lots of useful resources, including freebies. And this week's worksheet is also linked down there in the video description. Isn't that amazing, Dimitri? Dimitri says, of course it's amazing. I made it. This week's worksheet was created by Dimitri. That's why it is so outstandingly good. And he's off. And on that note, let's get started. I can't see any comments coming through, but that's probably just some kind of glitch in the software. I won't worry about that. I can see there are some viewers. Maybe there are some more out there. Who knows? It doesn't matter. I'm just going to broadcast into the void. Right. So here we are. We're working on a mixed reasoning worksheet this time around. So we've got a mixture of VR and NVR questions mixed up in the kind of the way that they might appear in some kinds of exams. In other kinds of exams, you'll have an VR section and an NVR section, or you might not have one of those. It depends on what you're doing for your 11 plus. Never mind, we're going to study it anyway. So, number codes, classic question type. It might not look exactly like this, but questions built along these lines turn up commonly in all kinds of 11 plus exams. I still can't see any comments coming in. I'm sorry if you're writing comments. What can I say? Chat nicely. Okay, so each of the 5 words. I've got a comment from Dork for Life saying, hello everybody. Hello Dork for Life. I'm especially pleased to see you because you're my first comment that's actually come through into my streaming platform, and it shows me that people are alive and I'm not just talking to myself for the first time today. Okay, each one of the 5 words matches one of the number codes listed below. So we've got 5 words and we got 5 number codes, and we need to match the word to the number code. Write the correct word next to each number code. So it's very important you do it this way around. Each number code has a space and you need to write the correct word in each one. That's a lot of stuff for me to rub out, but I have a magic pen, so it's easy for me. Okay, now there's a really clear technique for doing these, and once you know the technique, you don't even need to have a brain, you just need to apply it. What can we see here? Let's start off by looking at, let's look at the numbers, and we're going to start by looking at the first number in each number code. So let's look at those and see what we see. We've got 6, 9, 6, 6, 5. What do you notice there? I hope you've noticed it. There are 3 6s. 3 6s. That means that 3 of these words are going to start with the same letter. So we look at the words, and lo and behold, 3 of them do start with the same letter. How does that help us? Well, we've found out that 3 codes start with the number 6 and 3 words start with the letter B. So, Sherlock, what does that mean? It means that 6 is B. And so I'm going to take notes up here. You could also take notes by the number codes. It doesn't really matter. Just do it somewhere. Okay. Now, I was in an absolute tearing rush today, doing all manner of different things. So I haven't gone through this question in practice. So we're working it out together. Right. So we can see that of those, there are 3 first letters that begin with 6. Okay, let's have a look at some of the other letters. Let's look at last letters for argument's sake. So we can see that 2 last letters are 9 and 2 are 5. But only the 9 is also on a code that begins with 6. So let's look at the last letters of the words at the top. We've got 2 words that begin with L. End with L, sorry, and we got 2 words that end with S. But, hang on a second. We also got the 5 on the 6. Okay, so that's slightly less useful to us. Let's ignore that one. What else can we do here? Well, let's look at those 5s. We've got 2 words ending in 5, and we got 1 word beginning with 5. So what letter ends 2 words and begins another? So we can see we've got S, S, and S. Whereas with the L's, 2 words end in L, but 1 word does begin with L. Okay, so that isn't going to help us either. Right, so where else can we go with this? So we go around looking for patterns and practicing applying them. What else can we see? We can see that there are 2 4s in the second column, 4, 4, and 2 4s in the third column. So there's a letter that's the second letter in 2 words and the third letter in 2 words. Let's look for that. So second letter in 2 words, we've got A, and third letter in 2 words, we've got A and A. So now we've got one. We've worked out that A is 4, so let's write that in. And now we're really starting to crack it. So we've got 4, 4, 4, and 4. Okay, so the code that begins 6, 4 is bats. And we've got one. And now we've got some more numbers, because now we know that 7 is T and 9 is S. So where's T? 7, 9, and 9 is S, and that turns up all over the place. 9, 9. Okay. And now we are really flying. So for example, let's look at this one. 9 blank 4 blank is seal. 9 blank 4 blank, that's here, seal. Okay, and that gives us the 8 and the 5. E is 8. E is 8. No other E's. And 5 is L. L is 5. Okay, so we got 5, 5, 5. Oh, we had that anyway. But okay, and now we can really fill these in. So if it begins 5, 4 blank 9, then it's laws. 5, 4 blank 9, laws. Okay, and we can keep filling the numbers in, but actually I think we can pretty much get there now. So we've done seal, we've done bats, we've done laws, we just got bowl and bore. So if it's 6 blank 4 blank, it's bore. 6 blank 4 blank, that's bore. And then this one down here is 6 something something 5, and that is indeed the correct case, so it's bowl. So what have we done? We've looked for patterns vertically in each column of the numbers, and then we matched up those patterns with letters, and then we've started to fill in more numbers and more words, and more numbers have appeared, and in the end it becomes very, very easy. And that's the kind of way that you can play about with it. I mean, I think that was actually quite an authentic one because I hadn't practiced it. So you've seen the kinds of things you can do. The most natural way is first look at the first column, see if there's a pattern of letters, then look at the last column, see if there are patterns of letters, and then start playing around. Are there certain patterns across the second and third columns, and so on. Have a look through that again if you want to be clearer on my reasoning. That was actually a particularly difficult one for one of these. Beg your pardon. Normally they're a little bit simpler. On to the next. Now this is a classic kind of logic problem of the variety that turns up in various 11 plus exams. It's a kind of weird corner. So logic problems. Let's look at the example. Based only on the 2 statements below. So no own knowledge and no assumptions about the way that things must be. Underline the one option that is definitely correct. So only and definitely. You can only use this information, and you have to choose the option that must be correct, not one that might be correct. Let's look at the example, as I said. Ethel eats crisps. Crisps are a food made of potatoes. So option 1, Ethel eats most kinds of food made of potatoes. Well, we know from this that Ethel eats one kind of potato-based food. We don't know whether it's the only kind she eats, whether she loves all of them. We don't have any information to support the first option. Ethel eats at least one kind of food made of potatoes. Well, we just said that. She eats crisps. Crisps are a kind of food made of potatoes. So she does eat at least one kind of food made of potatoes. So that must be a true statement based on this. That's going to be the answer. Let's check the others. Ethel likes potato crisps. Okay, that is the elephant trap. Because we know that she eats them, but she might eat them because she's been told that if she eats crisps every day, then she'll be given a really big Christmas present, even though she hates them. You don't know. No evidence to support liking. Ethel probably eats oven chips. Well, I've got no idea. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. We only know about crisps. Only 2 is the option here. Now, there's a little trick you can play with these sometimes. Ethel eats crisps. Crisps are a food made of potatoes. So crisps and crisps belong in the same spot here. And we can link the sentences. That wasn't very well done. Let's try and do that again. Ethel eats are a food made of potatoes. Ethel eats a food made of potatoes. And that leads us to B. Ethel eats at least one kind of food made of potatoes. It's kind of what you could call syllogistic reasoning if you're talking in terms of logic, to use a fancy term. Now let's look at the actual question on this paper. Angry lions like to eat penguins. Okay? Imagine angry lions eating penguins. Not a nice thing to consider before dinner. I saw a TV advert the other day. It was encouraging me to adopt a penguin. And it said I could adopt a penguin for, I think it was something like £8 a month. And I thought that seemed tremendously cheap for a penguin, and I was almost quite tempted. But then I wasn't quite sure how Dimitri would get along with it. So, I decided that probably wasn't one for me, much as I was sorely tempted, especially in this weather. A penguin would be fine. Anyway, angry lions like to eat penguins. That lion is eating a penguin. Option 1. That lion likes to eat penguin. Okay, so we're talking about this line here. Well, the lion is eating a penguin. Okay. Do we know whether it likes to eat penguins? Or likes to eat penguin? I beg your pardon. Oh, I saw this talk of eating penguin. It's making me hungry and sneezable. Okay. We don't, based on statement 2. We just know it's eating it. It might be eating it with a gun to its head. From another lion that's trying to make it be, saying, you be a man, eat penguin. But statement 1 says that angry lions like to eat penguins. Okay, so if it's an angry lion, it must be enjoying it. Let's go back to statement 2 and see whether it's an angry lion. Angry lion. No, we don't know that it's an angry lion. It might be a happy lion. We've got no evidence to conclude it likes to eat penguin. That lion is angry. Okay, well that lion is eating a penguin, and angry lions like to eat penguins. So, does this make sense? Well, we know that angry lions like to eat penguins, but it doesn't say that angry lions are the only kind of lion that like to eat penguins. We just know they're one kind. This might be a happy lion. It could be that angry lions like to eat penguins, and happy lions like to eat penguins. We don't know. So we can't actually conclude that this lion is angry. It might not be, and still like eating penguin. That lion was angry. Oh, so maybe it was angry, and that put it in the mood for penguin, and now it isn't angry anymore. But look at all that. There's so much guesswork. I don't think so. Option 4. That lion might be angry. So that lion is definitely eating a penguin. And we do know that angry lions eat penguins. So it might be angry. It might not be. But certainly it's possible that a lion eating a penguin is angry, because statement 1 tells us that. So it is possible that this is an angry lion. It might not be. It might be a happy lion. It might be a quietly contemplative lion. It might be a lion very much at peace with itself and with the eating of penguins. That lion might be angry is as good as we are going to get. Now, in an exam, if you had to underline, don't go through crossing out options, because what happens if you realise you crossed it out by mistake and it's actually the answer? But what you could do is put a little cross at the side next to the ones you don't like, still leaving room to go back and underline them if you like them. Let's carry on. We're not going to do the whole of this paper today. My plan is to do a good chunk of it and then do another chunk of it probably next week. If you combine a word in the first group, which always goes first, good to know, with a word in the second group, you can make a new word. Underline the correct word from each group. So we've got shop and ping. What is shop ping? Is this some kind of game where you run through a shop with one of those scanners that you can now use in some supermarkets in order to shoplift subtly? No, it is shopping, because you have to be alert to the fact that when you take these two parts of words or two separate words and put them together, the sound might actually change. You may go from shop ping to shopping. okay, which is a word. Look out for those things. You may notice a gap here. You may have downloaded the worksheet at an earlier point and noticed there was a question there. There was a question there. There is no longer a question there because it was a really badly written question with 2 possible answers. I've got rid of it. Okay, the next one. How do we do this? Be systematic is the answer. Eliminate. Start with was, and let's look at the was options. Was up. Was up! No. Was in. Was in. No. Was towards. Oh, that sounds rather grand. I proceeded was towards the castle. No. However grand it may sound, it's still total and utter nonsense, a bit like most of what I come up with in these lessons. So it's not was. Cross it out. Now we try the same with then. Then up, then in, then towards. I don't think so. So we're just systematic like that. Now I'm doing it quite slowly to show you. When you're used to doing this in an exam under time pressure, you can do this really quickly. You can go here up, here in, here up, here in, here towards. Right. Here up, here up, here up, herein. And herein lies the mystery. It's old-fashioned, but it's a word. Here towards. It's a slightly funny one, actually. I'm not sure this is the greatest question ever, because here towards, in some archaic usage, now I think about it, might possibly appear somewhere. If you look in the really big Oxford English Dictionary, the one that's multiple volumes, you might find it. But I don't think it really is a word that could be used legitimately now as an actual current word. But whereas herein, although it's a little archaic, is definitely a current word that people use. Yeah. Here is my mug, and herein, try and show without spilling it, is some coffee. There is my glass, and therein is a slightly unpleasant coloured drink. By. Byduke. Biking. Biking. I love going biking, but not spelt like that. Bylord. Billord. Billord. I don't think so. Forduke. Forduke. Forduki. No. I'm being silly, but there's an important point here, which is that you should play around with the sounds of things to make sure that you aren't missing possibilities. For king and country. For king. No, I don't think so. For lord, I say now. This is such a tiresome endeavour. Not a word, although it should be. Since duke, since king, since lord. He's such a since lord. Could be, but isn't. And that would be 2 words anyway. So have I ruled out all options? I have, but I've been wrong to do so, because you have to consider the possible different sounds of things. And forking is not a word, but forking most certainly is. He was forking the potatoes into his mouth as though they were about to expire. He was forking the hay into the loft with great energy. Okay? Forking is. Careful. Flagfer, flagor, flaguza, flagger, flagfer. No. Boatfor, boatfur, botfer, boator. A boator, is that someone who uses a boat? No, it isn't. Boaterzer. No, sounds a little bit like an Old Testament name, but is not. Sail, sailfer. I'm going to sail for home. Well, that's all well and good, but you'll be doing it with 2 words. Sail or be damned. Sailor. Sailor. Thank you. Okay? So that kind of spirit of playfulness, Noah writes, kind of be boat user. Not as 1 word. That kind of playfulness of messing around with sounds and possibilities. It's me being a little bit silly because it's a Tuesday evening and I've got so much going on. Whatever. this is, it's an approach that comes out of making a silly video. But it's also an approach that you can take from the silly video and into your exam, because it's this kind of mental playfulness of messing around with the words that will enable you to spot things and not miss things. Choose the figure on the right that goes best in the empty square on the left. This definitely calls for coffee. These questions are so annoying, I apologise, but they tend to get set in exams, so better study them. So we're missing the first square. Right, okay. So let's try and do this by working from right to left, because that will make it easiest to then work out what's in the first square. And a hot tip for things like this is do not try looking at the whole, because there may not be a rule that describes what's going on across the whole shape. It's much better to look at the elements of the shape and take them separately, at least to start with. So let's look at this, let's call it the dark arrow, because that sounds a bit sinister, as opposed to the dotted arrow. Okay, so the dark arrow is left, then it's down, then it's right. Okay, so it's going left, down, right. So the next one would be up. So we pretty clearly want the dark arrow to be pointed up. Okay? And there's only one option that fits that, that's option D. And so we're already done, because it must be that. Now we can quickly check the dotted arrow if we have the luxury of coming back to this question with spare time at the end of the exam. So the dotted arrow is working from right to left. It's left, up, right, so the next one will be down, and that indeed fits option D, so that is most certainly our answer. Actually quite straightforward. Okay, what about this, question 12? Again, we're missing this one here, so we should work from right to left to make things easy. So we've got this face with a pointy hat, and the pointy hat is pointing, it's really useful by the way with a pen or something just to visualize this, it's pointing to the right, then we go from right to left, don't forget, it's pointing to the right, then it's pointing down, then it's pointing left. So again, with 90-degree turns, the next one's going to be pointing up. So it could be A, C or D, but not B. Get rid of cat hair from my screen. Thank you very much, Dimitri. Okay, what else can we say? Well, we can see that there's a slanted mouth, there are some nostrils, and there are some eyes, one of which is round and one of which is a dash. So on this one here, the eye is on the right-hand side of the... So what am I talking about? The looking at it is on the left-hand side of the face as we look towards it. Same here. Same here. So the eye is going to be on the left-hand side of the face, not option D. Okay. What about the slant of the mouth? Because we can see looking at A and C that the mouth slants in different directions. So again, you see what I'm doing? I'm taking individual elements and assessing them one at a time. That's the way to do it. And once you're into the spirit of this, you're used to doing it, you can do it really sharp. You don't need to spend ages over it like I'm doing. And sometimes, as with question 11 that we've just done, you'll see that actually when you've looked at even one element, it already takes you to the answer. Guys, be nice to each other. Thank you. Okay, so the mouth slants from down on the left to up at the right. Okay, like that. And we can see the same going on. Goodness me, I've just noticed something. These questions are a little bit of a mess. I have to apologize a bit. There were some mistakes creeping in here, because here also it is down on the left to up on the right. Here it is down on the left to up on the right. But here, oh dear, it's the wrong way around. It should be like that. That is simply a printing mistake in this paper. What can I say? So this question doesn't really work, and if you got it wrong, or maybe it does. Hang on a second. Because this one is down the left to up on the right, but this one is up on the left to down on the right. So we've got one that's alternating. So in fact, this here, if the mouth line is alternating, should be going from up on the left, so up under the round eye, to down on the right. So now let's look at the options here. Up from the round eye, to down on the right, and that is option C. So in fact it works. By looking carefully at the slope of the mouth, we find that it is not a mistake in the question. It's actually a very subtle and very annoying bit of fiddliness. I've just checked. I think my original solution to this paper is therefore wrong. Oops. Right, on to the next one. The next one was definitely had some problems with it. It was just too fiddly and difficult. I've got rid of that one from the worksheet. Let's go on to have a look at question 14. Okay, so here we have this little character taking a running leap and either coming a cropper or landing headfirst in some kind of tank. Let's assume it's the latter, because I think that's, a little bit more, PG friendly. So here we got this character and he's running along here. And then here he is horizontal in quite an inefficient dive landing position. That one's going to hurt. And here indeed we can see that it is hurting. But what would happen in between? So he's going wee. So what's in between here and here? Well, it's here, isn't it? He needs to be facing up at that kind of angle. So that matches A, B, and D, but not C. Okay. Is the figure at the same distance along the shape in these three options? Yes, the figure is. He or she is in the same position. So that doesn't really help us. So now we look at the tank, let's call it. So in the left-hand version here, there is no water. It's all concrete. Okay, just go with my terminology. Why not? Here, there is a wide area of water. And here the area of water is so wide that it's completely pushed the shape off the right-hand end. So we're going to need a narrow area of water. That looks like B or D. But D, let's look at the difference between them. D has a hole in the bottom of the tank, which is going to mean it's empty and it's going to really hurt when he lands. If you look at the examples here, there's always a bottom to the tank. So that matches B but not D, and B is going to be our answer. Now you could be tempted, I suppose, by A on the basis that there is one line through the tank here, there are two lines through the tank here, and then there'd be three lines through the tank here, which would be A. But there aren't four lines through the tank in the first figure. And also, none of these moves is prefigured by a stray black line that isn't anything to do with the watery bit. So A doesn't really make any sense. It's B. Okay. Very sorry to hear from Yogi Ram's art that they have a cold. I hope you feel much better soon. Okay, onwards. 15. We're flying through now. So we've got Pac-Man, in a way. If you get that reference, you're too young to get that reference. But, who knows? Who knows how deep your cultural knowledge runs? We've got Pac-Man turning around, and we've got Pac-Man's... what is it? I can't remember what it is that Pac-Man chases. Are they apples or balls? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, Pac-Man running around trying to chase this thing. We've got Pac-Man and the thing. Let's not confuse them. What happens with Pac-Man? So we've got the mouth opening that way, we've got the mouth opening that way, and the mouth opening that way. So we got that way, then that way, then that way. Okay, so the one in between is going to be that way. That way. So we want... Oh, look, there's only one mouth that opens that way. It's option B. So we've got there already. Must be option B. Let's check the dot anyway, to be sure. So what happens with the dot? So it's here, then it's here, then it's here. How do we get from here to here? Well, it moves left across the top. The dot is moving around this square up there. It goes from there. The next one's going to be on this corner of the square. Then it's up here, and then it's top left. And again, B has that dot in the middle, which is kind of what I drew there. So B is definitely the answer. Again, separate out the elements, take them one at a time, and you'll get there much more quickly. In the gap, write one letter that can end the first word and begin the second word. We're nearly there, people. So, how do we do this? Well, just look at the first word for a bit. Stop. So immediately you're going to think, stop, I bet. Stop, prath. No, I don't think so. Prath, the grapes of Path. Walk along that path. No. Okay, what else can we do with this? And then you think nothing else comes to mind really, obviously. So then you start going through the alphabet. Stoa, stob, stok, stod, stod, stoe, stof, stog, stog. And you can do that really quickly in your mind. You don't need to say it out like I'm doing stom, stom, ston, ston. No, it's not stone. And so on and so on. And in the end, you realise, stow. And then, trickily, wrath, meaning anger, that begins with W. It has a silent W, which makes it tricky. And that's your answer. So go for things, yes, don't go through the alphabet initially because it takes quite a while and you might just spot something. But be prepared to then run through the alphabet quickly if it comes to it. And of course, you know, if you can tell that it must be a consonant or must be a vowel, that can help to limit things. Next one, cuff. Oh, hang on, what's a cuff? It's on your jacket, but it's spelled with two F's. Cuff, C-U-F-F. And then that will be fourth. Blackadder goes forth, another outdated cultural reference. It's an F. Nice and straightforward, in fact. Sl. Well, you can't have slp or slm. It's going to be a vowel. A-E-I-O-U and potentially Y. Sla. Sle. Sli. Slo. Slu. Sly. Sly. Yes. So that's an example of what I was saying about the alphabet, but in a much more constrained fashion, a much more contained fashion. We realise that it's going to be a vowel, and so we just try out the vowels, not forgetting to try Y, and then it's nice and easy. So be logical, don't just splash around throwing thoughts at the page like Jackson Pollock. Think about how you might approach it logically, and you'll get there more quickly. Fur. Okay. What can we do with this? Fur. Well, I got one fur, but it's here. Last and treasured. But Dimitri has many furs. Many furs. There's 3 layers of fur. He has 3 fur coats. Furs. So, or sow. If you were exceptionally subtle, with an exceptional vocabulary, you might also have got furl and low. What does it mean to furl? Well, you might have come across the verb unfurl, to open out some big item, probably made of fabric, to unfurl a sheet, the boat unfurls its sails. So to furl, less commonly used, the opposite of that, to fold. Pe. Ever. Per. Ped. Pez. Sever. No. Pear. What's an obvious pear? What's an obvious pear? Pear. Oh, look. Pear. Pen. Never. Nice and straightforward, except that I seem to have written pay with an H. Pen. That's more like it. Thank you. Apologies for my handwriting. Oh, look. A grand classic. In each of these sentences, there is a hidden 4-letter word which overlaps the end of one word and the beginning of the next. Write it in the answer space. Okay? And the classic example with, of course, tent. Now, nota bene, a little bit of Latin for you, that there are some precise instructions here. It must overlap the end of one word and the beginning of the next. So, it cannot be within a single word, and it cannot overlap 3 words. So let's say, for example, that bist were a word. That could not be the answer because it does not overlap just 2 words. Okay? So read the instructions very carefully. You'll know the technique for this by now if you've watched my other reasoning videos. You do it like this. You take the first possible combination across a join and you just keep sliding along. Ouerge, ojo, job. Okay? no words there. Jobby, obis, bist doesn't count. Isto, stop doesn't count. Tost, osto, no. Topa, opas, pass. There we are, pass. I'm going to write in capitals because it's clearer and nobody is going to object to that. There we are, nice and straightforward. Now you may say, why not just look at it till you see the answer? You can do that. The trouble is, if you look at it for ages and don't see the answer, then what are you going to do? You've got to go back and just do what I just did from the start, and you've wasted all the staring time because you've still got to go through every possibility to not to miss anything. My advice for these is to get really quick at doing the jump thing, and just do it like that always. Toby, beho, ehon, no, est, st, tudat, hat with two T's, no, atta, task, no, aski, skis, skis, surely. There we are. Nice and straightforward. But if you went on, you might also spot that this is a slightly badly set question, because there is also bite. And were you to find this question in your exam, you should expect to get the mark for either of those because they are both entirely correct English words. Shek, heke, eki may well be words in some language, but not in this one. Inkun gup gup, upfre pfre, esha, shai, hail. There we are. Hail. Boom, 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 boom. Wrecks your car. I once had a car that was that was absolutely spattered with it was a Navara pickup truck, and it was very old and covered in dents from some absolutely enormous hailstones that absolutely battered it once when I was sitting inside it. It was very lucky that the window screen didn't smash because it could easily have done so. You're not interested in these little nuggets of my life story, but it's tough because you're there and I'm here and you're going to get them. Heap. Oh, there we are. That was easy. Very first option. Heap. Do not neglect to look at the very beginning. That's one case for this technique, that you're so busy looking around in the middle that you don't spot the thing that's right in front of you. Look. Uka, okat, cat. Athe, tse, theb, hebo, ebu. Oxy, xil, sill. There we are, sill. Like a windowsill, for instance. And that will do for today. That's 25 questions. There were 50 questions in the paper. We will do the rest another time because you've got better things to do right now. Now, I have to confess that I was in such a tremendous rush that I didn't even come up with a tip of the week. In fact, it didn't even occur to me that I needed a tip of the week until I actually got into doing this. So what am I going to do for a tip of the week? I think I'm going to do this. And so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's tip of the week, in which I am just about to make a tip, invent one, out of thin air. My tip of the week is this. What is my tip of the week? My tip of the week is that you will probably become quite obsessed by finding the exact kind of reasoning questions that will turn up in your exam. It is a futile endeavour because you cannot know. You can only know what kinds of questions your exam board has tended to set in the past. They're not going to test only a certain kind of questions, they're testing skills. So, relax about it. Just practice a wide range of reasoning question styles from various different publishers, including this one. Check out 11 Plus Lifeline, I reckon it's pretty good. Other people do too, can't see why. It was just a shameless plug and it was rubbish. If you're going to do advertising, do it better than that. Thank you, people. Supplementary tip. Anyway, do reasoning questions from a wide range of different publishers, from lots of different sources, and don't stress about whether you find the right style for your exam, because what reasoning comes down to is skills. You've seen the way that I've shown a really systematic way of working through these different questions. I've shown you how to apply logic to finding the answer. That's what you need to get used to, not knowing every possible kind of question in advance. And that was today's entirely improvised tip of the week. All right, let's whack through a few questions and then let's wrap up and run off to happier things for you than doing this. I'm just going to go away and cry because the high point of my week, the only thing I live for, is this weekly Easy 11 Plus live lesson. This is Revenge Cookie Punch. Not really a question. I'm in year 100. Also not a question, yet intriguing. No, Robert, tell us more about your life. No. Oh, no. I thought they were spelt donut. My name is Cringe. Syl, is it a word? Yes, it is. This is not a question-rich environment, so I think I'll take the opportunity and wrap up there. People, it's been fantastic to have you here. I'm not going to say what's 6 times 6, you could total numpty. So I'm just going to call it a day. It's been fantastic to have you here. I hope you found the lesson useful. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your evening. And, oh look, it's the 20th of December. So guess what I am not going to be doing next week? You're right. I'm not going to be doing an Easy 11 Plus live lesson because I'm not going to say I got better things to do. What could be better than this? But I have certain responsibilities around Christmas time which don't always involve the 11 Plus. So it's been wonderful to have you here. Have a very Merry Christmas, and I look forward to seeing you back in the new year. Yes, I'll be here. Will I? Probably on the first Tuesday of January. We'll see. Keep an eye out. You'll find out. I'll find out. Dimitri will find out. It'll be wonderful, especially if I'm not there. All right, people. Merry Christmas and bye-bye. Dimitri, you coming up to say goodbye? No? He says no. He's not coming.